Welcome to the Phuket Retreat Podcast. This is your host, Sky and Tony. Hey, Tony.
Hello, welcome. Thank you, Sky.
You're welcome. And today we're going to be obviously talking about the retreat, but we're going to be talking about boundaries. When to set boundaries, why we need boundaries, why boundaries are healthy. Do you want to take it away from there, Tony?
For expansion, absolutely. As a people pleaser, and there's a lot of things I still do that not so much. I do honor a lot more of what my body is feeling, and that's what I really want to delve deeper into today. Instead of the mind, what the mind's thinking, it's more of what the heart's saying. And if we can really tap into that heart space, that's where we're going to get the guidance of where it's coming from. Is it coming from a people pleaser? Because we all want to contribute, we all want to be nice, and we want to be kind. I'm not saying that at all. I feel like I want to live my life with more kindness and more love, but there's also where we've got to set these boundaries that actually is a form of self-love. And when we neglect those, we will start to manifest over things that aren't incongruent in alignment with who we are. So we can actually get right into hello. Got the first one. We can go into some personal stories. I think that's where most of us really relate, don't we, when we're talking about where that's come from. Just to give you let's get deep straight away, is my boundaries definitely with family. Just because they're family doesn't mean that they allow to speak to you in certain ways. There's a certain individual within my family that I don't speak to anymore. That was because the disrespect, and because they were family, they could speak to you any way they like, and this was not acceptable. And I didn't really understand that, or I felt like that's just how families are, where they can just tell you what they think and do what they want to do. And it's not until I went traveling and came back and I realized like that family dynamic actually is not that healthy. And actually sometimes doing the brutal thing of cutting them out was actually necessary for my expansion. Seems extreme, but I had to do that. Not saying they'll never not be in my life, but I had to. There were certain things where when I was coming into their space, that it was just unhealthy. I felt in my body constricted. Like, we know when we tap into the body, we know how something makes us feel. And it wasn't until later down the line in my, say, 30s, I didn't feel, I always felt something was off, but I was doubting me. I was questioning who I was, and I was becoming insecure. But when I realized they was quite negative, they wasn't supportive, they couldn't really speak to me. If I challenged them on anything, they would get defensive and argumentative, and they would get nasty and use foul language. And then I'm like, oh, and I used to take it all. So that's like one of my first clear signs of I did not have a boundary there. And it was not until I actually had to cut them till I learned. I could have set different boundaries at the time. I don't think it would have worked. Some people are just not in that space. Maybe they would now, I don't know. But I do feel that was the best decision and the best game changer of my life. It's what gave me self-love, self-compassion in who I am and how people treat me. I am not allowing people to treat me with the utmost respect and how I deserve to be treated and how I would treat others. So that's quite deep. That's one of probably the biggest one for me. And what I can recall is the strongest. What about you, Sky?
So when I think of boundaries, I think what I have done is set extreme boundaries on myself already. So I feel like I'm in the reverse to other people. So I feel like people got to the raw food and they had these lives that they needed to strip back, whereas I didn't have one. Remember, I'd been homeless and I was living alone, and I've let people in, but everyone that's in is at a distance, to the point that most people are online. I'm much better now. Like, I have friends that live near me and I will see them more, not even more, but more comfortably. I think, and I was talking to you about this earlier, is I look at relationships and people, and I don't just see, a lot of people like see love and happiness and want a relationship and they just see love. I most of the time gauge things in pain, because I was in so much pain most of my life that when I found myself in raw foods, if somebody said, Sky, for the rest of your life, it's just you and the raw foods, I'd be like, okay, that's all right. I'm not in pain. Like, I'm okay. Like, that's, I think, where survival mode Sky, baby Sky, traumatized Sky resonates. And she sits there a lot. And a lot of what I do, I have to turn around and keep protecting that Sky. So I feel like to some extent my boundaries are extreme and I've never let people truly back in. Is that a bad thing? I don't necessarily think in my case that is a bad thing. I think it's actually a protective mechanism I've had to do just because I've been through so much. Like, I almost feel like you open a floodgate of people and pain, you are also going to open a massive floodgate of trauma that my brain's blocked off. Because remember, I lost a lot of my memory to trauma. It's much better now, but I'm only able to cope because it comes back slow. I think back when I did a paleo diet and got shingles through the eye and I ended up with FND, is because of the anxiety and the shingles near my brain and the inflammation, it brought back so much too fast that's how I got FND was kind of feeding itself and I ended up in psych units for 2 years. This keeps me, I feel like raw food keeps like hugging me and making me feel safe, and it allows me to unfold at a rate where nothing has flooded back yet.
Yeah.
So do you see, like, I feel like, and that's me being really, really honest, that I do feel almost safer because most of my friends, close friends, are online. It removes a layer because when people are around, and also please remember, I had full-time carers. So when I ate, when I went to the bathroom, when I took my medication, when I went back to the doctor, it was all controlled. So to give me nobody was almost like a gift. So it's like, yeah.
It's interesting to see the other side to it, because now, but yeah, as long as, I think the first thing that I notice with that is the awareness that you have, the fact that you're aware and able to talk about it. It's very different to someone that is completely shut off. You're not completely like saying, I'm not allowing anybody in. No, you're just protective of your energy, your space. And I feel we do need to protect, but not at the cost of your because we're social creatures, we're social beings. We want to connect, and how we connect with others, from my experience, is when we're vulnerable, when we can share and be a safe space for them, and for them to be a safe space for ourselves. And being able to openly share our dark shadows and the light. But where it comes at, if there's anything that's been what we learn to do, and I think this comes with age and also from our own inner work and doing the work and eating the raw foods, because raw foods absolutely amplify this connection to the heart. Absolutely. If you're eating dead animals, if we're eating dead foods is mostly cooked foods, then we aren't really going to have this resonance. We're not going to have these light codes that we talk about that's in these foods. So I'm a big believer in our clarity comes when we really take out the dense, heavy foods. Hello, Helen. Yeah, I love hermit phase and healing self. Oh, it's necessary. And I go through lots of phases of cocoon phase. I stay in and go within. And there's times when I want to be social. I'm very mixed. Most people would see me as, well, it depends. I used to be like extrovert, but I'm much more introverted. I'm more cautious and careful in who I put my energy. My energy into, and what I'm doing with my time and people. So I think that's your boundaries. These and boundaries also can look like, for yourself, is the foods I eat. My boundaries are, I do not want to eat heavy, dense foods that numb my pain, because even though pain's not easy, pain is not, a lot of mine's from my emotional pain. I know for you, Scout, it was a lot of the physical, but mine's a lot of emotional stuff that's gone on in the past. We all have them, but if we keep sedating and numbing and escaping, especially with food, because it's so readily available, we're never going to get the clarity in what that pain, it just wants to be seen And if we keep masking it, we aren't going to allow that to heal. So I really see a difference from living this lifestyle in the way, even though it's not easy, it's definitely not easy. But I also think once you see what you see, you can't unsee it. You know, it's like you can't go back. We can't go back to how we used to live. I literally can't go back to the binge episodes, the unhealthy junk food and numbing and sedating with that. It's just, I know it's going backwards too extreme. So I'm not even there. So now I'm really fully in the space of protecting my own safe heart and love for myself, and that comes with the food. Sorry.
So you're essentially saying you can't go back to that version of yourself. You're making decisions based on the fact you can't go back. I think the other thing about me being very slow and not wanting people around is I was basically in a room for 15 years. So before that, I would be in bed a lot. I could do something with friends or people, but then I'd be in bed for 2 days or something, but I still could do some things. But then pretty much from 20, maybe even longer than 15 years. What's that? 20, that's 35. So longer. It's almost like 20 years. Oh, no, I worked a few years. So, yeah, let's say 15 years. So for me, being around people is before you even put up how much you want to put up boundaries. I guess that could go either way. You could be like a little child running into the dark. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I've got to put up boundaries. But I'm like, I think I've just been, I don't know, I just feel there's a power. Like, I don't necessarily think it's the raw food. I feel it's the connection I got to God and source by putting raw foods in the body and then being outdoors. I'm very heightened and aware. Whoever you are becomes heightened and aware because it's like an electrical plug. You're like now plugged into the electricity of the universe instead of the dead stuff of the universe. And so I'm like I like to be very, I'm not honest with myself. I just chase my tail. I don't get anywhere. And I just know that that's just very.
If you portray yourself, your body really does feel it and it will have a consequence. So I think it's really stepping into your own trust within and your own self. And I think when values really help as well, what you value, and that's how you can really move from a more safer space and more clarity is when you have your own set core values, and they can kind of change. To be honest, I need lots of time.
I'm like you, Helen. I'm like you.
I mix. I do need. I love human connection. When you've met the right people, like I know with Sky and I, we'll probably get like super, and Helen, it's like your people. Like you just and yeah, and like it just feels so good. So it's only because I used to be a lone wolf, and I always used to say to myself, I'm a lone wolf in this world, and I'm out there, and I don't need it. Not in a bad way. I was just like, I just don't need anyone. But no, I really, when you meet great souls, that connection, for me, yeah, I want to not ever have walls. I just truly want to just honor the love that each individual brings, because yeah, I just feel, especially your nervous system feels it, you know, I feel good. And now because I'm so in tune with how my body feels and reacts, when you meet those great souls, it just, I do love it. It's expansion for me when you meet those individuals that are just so expansive. But yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say that, just one second. That when I first went raw, being around people was very draining. I've built myself to really hold my space now. Like this is me. This is my culture, my lifestyle. This is how I live. And everyone who I'm around is very familiar with how I eat and do and am. And it's like, it's not even like a question. They're not going to pass me the butter, or they're not going to say, do you want a glass of wine? They're like, oh, she'll have the mineral water. We're in sync now, right? But when you first go raw, as I said, I'd been basically in a room for 15 years, and now I've come out, I'm seeing people I haven't seen, I'm well, and I'm at a restaurant, but I'm not going to eat anything on the menu. That took a lot of confidence. That took all my energy, right? And you're very aware of how strong people's beliefs and structures are. Mine's all new. You know, when you're first raw, everything's so fragile. Now it's like, you know, I would just be like, yeah, not coming, don't feel like that, not eating that, or coming and bring my grapes, and no one would blink an eye. And so that lowers my energy force field, or whatever you want to call it. So if you're new to raw, you are probably going to want to spend more time alone, just because filtering your world through your new raw eyes is going to take a lot of energy. So you're not going to be able to be there as long, or be around people who are so strong in their belief, and you're all new and you're like, oh, I don't know about the protein, and like you get, you know, that is going to consume you. Whereas now I'll be like, do I look
It's a
like
bit too much. Yeah, there's the stages, isn't there? Yeah, where
there
you're not
is.
as confident, and you knew absolutely. You're fresh out the water. It's like learning to walk again. You kind of like, you know the feeling, you know your path, but you know, actually putting it into reality when you go out there is totally different. And I feel it, because like now, because I'm so strong in myself, all my friends come to the vegan restaurants, and there's loads of raw food, so it's really easy. But in the beginning, you're fitting around everyone else, and it's a transitional phase, but make it easy for yourself. So yeah, I stopped doing food with friends. Instead, we'd go to the gym, or we'd go out on hikes and do different things, not involving food, just because I just felt it was just so complicated, and I was still trying to figure out, can I have this, can I have that, what's in alignment, you know, what doesn't feel good. And it was just easier because there was less places potentially, and some people in different parts of the world might not have as much access. Especially here, I've got lots of access to fruits. You know, there's a lot of smoothie bowls, salads, and all different variations. So there's a lot of just in some places you would struggle. So don't make it difficult for yourself either. Don't stand in that strength. You don't have to straight away. But if things are feeling like constricted, you know, you feel like, start sensing your body. I mean, I've written down as well, like what I feel when I go into a place that isn't in resonance or in alignment, and knowing someone stepped over your boundaries, or a place has like an environment that you want to go. You know, like there's some places I won't go to anymore, just because they have certain things on the menu, or there's one, like there's a hog roast, and I used to love we all sit on the floor, and now because they've got this hog roast in the front, I was like, this is barbaric, this is awful. So how I was feeling was like this anxiety, and I was getting tight chest. I've written down like shallow breath, gut tension. That's where you know. And if something feels off, you listen to it, and just avoid it at first, or even still honor that, acknowledge it, and don't have to put yourself into that experience. So yeah, definitely in the beginning phases, I feel you will have a lot less understanding of what your body's feeling, and you can't navigate how, you know, you really want, you kind of want to be with your friends, or this is just an example, you want to be with your friends, but it isn't in alignment. This non-vegan restaurant is not in line with your alignment, your values. So you have to, for me, I had to start honoring it, and just looking at, okay, why don't we not do food stuff? You know, so now when I connect with my friends, it's like everyone goes where I suggest. Or to be honest, they're all vegan anyway, so we're all good, you know, most of the time. That. So it's not difficult for me. So yeah, people pleasing is a difficult for most people on this path, especially like I say, when you go in. Yeah, we want to not make anyone feel. You know, I've got friends who say, oh, sometimes I will just go to their, like, say, the partner's family, and they kind of don't want to put them out cooking, and so they'll just eat what they give them. And I'm like, you see, I get that, but in the long run, you're not honoring and this is where you start to get this insecure. You start to detach from who you are, your own values, and that's where your boundaries are being crossed. So you have to start to respect, honor yourself, to not go or express, I'm vegan, I'm raw vegan, I'll bring either my own food, you know, I want you to try some of this, or would you be open to doing something together, or is it something you would be, it depends on the relationship you have with that family, the person. But every little thing you start to conform to others, you'll lose a bit of yourself. And that's why we sometimes feel that detachment and start becoming more lost in who we are.
It's also a sign of victimhood. So if somebody is, I feel like people will eat like things that people give them, and then they'll be like, oh, I got sick, it's that person's fault. Like, we actually have to take responsibility. Like, if you choose to eat something, even though you're like, I wouldn't usually eat that at home, and then I got a stomach bug and it's all their fault, there's like this loop, and you break free from that. And I feel like when it makes me laugh, when I went raw, because growing up, I don't know whether people notice this about me. I went through a lot. So a lot of who I was got fractured, but I was a rebel. I was like, if everyone's doing pink, I will pick blue. If everyone's picking blue, I'll pick pink. So the fact that like I was coming into my own and I could tap into like, I'm not eating what they're, it's like, I feel like it's a Leo trait where you're the center of attention. Like I will do, but it's like you're shifting it to good. So like when you're younger, it's just like, I will do it to be the center of attention. And then as you get, now I'm doing this, I'm like, well, I'm not eating the 7 courses. Just bring me a salad and a juice. I want to be different. I was a bit like, but I think I was like reaching into every part of my soul because I wanted this so much for myself. And then I used to say to myself, well, these are all little tools God gave you, which was going to help you right at the right moment. You know, you weren't destined to stand there in a blue swimming costume going, I'm wearing blue when everyone's wearing pink. You were destined to say, I'm eating raw foods and everyone else is eating crap. So I tend to dig and I keep trying to find these like little nuggets that like will help. I call them like little God tools, where you grab onto something that you did as a child or when you were younger that may have had negative connotations, and you think, well, I can be the center of attention and get people, and then end up on YouTube.
Yeah.
So much so that I'm going, eat your plants.
Yeah, because I always got like, if she didn't talk in my reports, if she didn't talk so much, she would be great. But now it's like, well, that's what I do now. I talk a lot.
Oh, I was the same.
It gets dimmed down.
Yes, so that's what I think is all of these traits. And like, this is the other thing I think of is like when you're diagnosed with ADHD, I could not do what I do without ADHD, man. I'm doing ebooks, lives, podcasts, talk. Like I have to be running, Pilates. Like there's so much. I'm about to juice, I want my brain multitasking at a fast pace. Like I was gifted it, right? So it's, I try using my like God nuggets.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, yeah, reframe. It's a reframe of it. I think if it is serving you for the highest expansion, and how we know by that, like I said, listen to the body. That's why I really recommend anyone to getting into meditation, getting some guided meditations or do your own meditation. Is it a ritual every day, ideally in the morning, because that's when your brain is less active. And before you get out to the world, just take some time for yourself. It could just be 15 minutes. I like to do half an hour, and now I'm upping it to, I'm going to do like 2 hours a day. If not twice, like 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, because this is the time where I'm like really looking at what's really in alignment, because this really checks in with yourself when things are off. Why is it off? Are you letting too many people come into your life that's dictating? Are you people pleasing? This is where you can check in with your own guidance system. It's all right having all of this information, but really what's in with your own self of how you can really navigate these challenges each day. So yeah, looking at where you feel most alive, and it might mean some people, some things need to drop away. And I do believe most of us know. But it's not until you meditate until it really reinforces how much it's taking a hold of your life. Like any of these unhealthy addictions, it could be like that packet of crisps you have every day. I have a client who just can't let go of this packet of crisps that she has every single day because she's done it since childhood, and it's a safety, it's a security, and it's interesting to see what we hold on to in our adult lives. I'm a bit like you in a lot of sense, Guy, where I'll rebel on something if something's causing a bit more of like, it's like an addiction, or I'm doing it constant. I'll see if I can let go of it. I'm like, I'm going to let go. I'm going to have that hold over me. And I think that's how I fast tracked a lot of this, eating the way I do and the lifestyle. I fast tracked. Again, that's subjective, but I do feel I can shift through a lot of things if it's holding me back. But this could also be mental things as well. Do you know what's weighing you down? Is it the thought patterns? Is it something that, like the worrying mind, the scarcity mindset, the fear? You know, I do have these abandonment wound that keeps coming up. I'm alone and I'm doing things by myself. That comes in when I'm in fear and I'm scared, and I'm like, then I question it. Is it true? And it's not until, because I've done the meditation, I listen and I'm like challenging it and reframing it. You're not alone. You know, where's that coming from? So that's why I really, really emphasize or encourage people to really get into the meditation. You can be busy, you can do lots of things, but where's it coming from? Is it coming from the soul, or is it coming from the ego? And this is what I'm learning, and I've said to you, Sky, I'm really articulating, not as clear yet as in the patterns I have mentally, because I don't chase a lot of external things anymore. It's not like, you know, I used to have all these vision boards and these external things that I wanted to achieve. It's a lot of the mental constructs that I have now. That's where I'm setting boundaries. So relating it back to the topic is my own boundaries of how I keep repeating certain cycles. That's not seems to be lessening. It's like still causing my suffering. So I'm now really in this space of listening of what is just constantly just torturing my life, you know, myself, like the thoughts, the beliefs. So really, I really, I love the slowing, because now I don't binge, like we said earlier. I don't binge. I don't eat heavy, dense foods to numb my emotions. I don't have that. Like you nailed it about. I use that. I use food to regulate my emotions, and that's most people. We do it out of boredom. We do it out of stress. We do it out of discomfort. I don't do that pretty much 95% of the time. So now it's actually listening to where the pain, letting the pain come up. It's not fixing it. And I'm doing a lot of work with like Carl Cease, and not fixing the pain, but actually listening, letting it come up, letting it surface of what is causing this this suffering. So I've got some patterns and some constructs that I know are holding me back, you know, and it's I'm unraveling. And as I process this, I'll be sharing.
I love that. So when I hear you talk about abandonment, what it brought up for me was, I guess anytime because my parents were a lot of the time my carers, and anytime when I was really sick that I was away from them for extended period, sometimes I'd get really upset because I was so used to having them around, right? But then when I lost touch with reality and I detached from my family, and the first time I was in a psych unit for 4 months, and the first few months of that I didn't talk to them, had none of the medications, and you can talk about food, but food, all these things give us our identity. If you've always eaten a certain way and you take it away from a person feels unfamiliar, and they like crisps. It makes them remember every day who they are. But I guess a lot of people's greatest fear is being alone for eternity, right? Being alone. When days were so long and painful in a psyche, there's nothing to do, right? And you're locked up a lot of the time. And I would get to these points where beyond hyperventilating, it'd be like I didn't want to be here, whether that's end my life. I didn't think you'd get to that. I didn't think whether I got to that point, but I'd be like, I can't be. And my body would start being like, how did I get to this like broken spot, right? And all of a sudden, something would drop off a shelf or something, grab my attention, or someone would knock on the door, right? And this is like the first layer of that the universe is one, okay? Something would always, and it doesn't have to just necessarily be human, a flower would get my attention. Something that had a bit of life in it or movement would get my attention. Then you take me to being full-blown homeless, right? Where I have been having seizures in hospital. They let me go. I'm just sleeping out on the street, or I've got a hotel room, but I can't remember where to go because I got FND. And I'll be sitting there, and you think you have beyond nothing. I'm thinking my life has had less than anything, right? I've just been in pain and suffering, and now I'm here. But people come along from nowhere. In fact, I've been outside of hospitals, and some guy tapped me on the shoulder and is like, you will find happiness. Like it's just, and those words to most people would be like, bloody crazy, man, and you'd forget about it, right? But when you have nothing, the value that you hold And I guess what I'm saying is I think a lot of people have these fears of being alone, like for you just no one will ever be there, right? Again. But I guess I've been there where there is absolutely no one, but there always is. And I just
Mm.
like people to remember that, because I wouldn't know it unless I'd been there. Like, and it's just situations where I've got no attachments to people anymore, but you do. And it's just, I think it's once again why I love raw foods and why I love nature is that it's more than what we know, and there's so much construct in the world that we're born into. But
Mm.
if everything gets hard and everything gets tough, and you feel like you haven't set boundaries or you've set too many boundaries, like I feel sometimes I do, go take your butt out in nature. And I swear, the longer you sit there, I find it better with like a bit of fruit or something, but you don't have to do that. If you just sit in nature, as long as you're on the ground or connected, you'll be amazed. I'm always amazed still, but in my darkest hours, it's what's always been there. So I just wanted to say that, because I think like, yeah, maybe that's why I don't feel as abandoned, because every time I do start feeling that, I will go and take myself. Yeah, I think that was a huge epiphany to me, but I never felt complete until I had the raw foods in my body. Like I didn't feel whole alone until I had raw foods in, and then I have to be out in nature. I never feel whole indoors. I feel fractured. Essentially, I am, right? I feel like once I'm on the living earth and I have raw foods, I can really feel it. And sometimes we need this, as in like, sometimes we can get so overwhelmed and consumed that we can't think ourselves out or sit down and even meditate. I'm really bad at meditating. I'm good at meditating while moving. So my brain, if I go for a walk and after about 30 minutes and I'm alone in nature, is my brain will just quiet, and it'll just be, and I can, if I want to bring something in or I wait for downloads. But I hope one day I do get to be able to just sit. But I can sit in Mother Nature, but usually I'm always touching her. I'm always like, oh, touched. I'm very like tactile.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, I can resonate with that. But I also feel it's not that you don't need anyone, it's that you want, I think it's a different frequency. There's nothing wrong with wanting people in your life and connection. We are social creatures, but we also have to be protect your own, yeah, energy first. I always say the gas mask, the oxygen mask and the plane. You know,
Yes,
if you got going down, you're going down, get yours on first. So protect
100%.
you, and then you can, yeah, you know, you can share and give, contribute. But yeah, I do feel there's a, I like needing people because I feel it's not like, it's a different, like I said, it's a different frequency. There's a need of like, you're going to just save me, regulate me. And that can become unhealthy. But I also feel there's a level of, we do want to need each other. We want to connect and support one
Mm.
another. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I used to want to be this lone wolf. I don't need anyone. People, that energy of I don't need anyone and I don't want to rely on anyone. I don't want to be in that space. I want to be, I can hold myself, I can do things, but I choose to have people and want to need people, because that's where we feel really that next level of depth. And I'll never want to lose that, I think, because I've gone through that space of not needing anyone. I want to love, I want to be someone needs me in a healthy space. I know this can seem a little contradictory. There's a different frequency where it's coming from, and it's that non-attachment but deep love.
Mm. Yeah, I guess everyone's like, I guess how and I think we spend a lot of time alone is it's taken me this amount of time to feel like I am truly who I am around people. And that comes, I think, from what we were talking earlier about when you get into raw foods. As I said, being in bed for 15 years and you're going to a restaurant and you're like, hi, everybody, I'm not eating what you're eating. Can I have a salad, please? And do you have a salad? No chicken. I just want the salad. Why do you want the salad? And you can feel that you're constantly trying to, it's not justify, explain, right? And that I like to reframe, rethink, and build on myself so that 5 years into this, and getting my life at 40. So we're not just talking about raw foods, we're getting my life at 40 is I'm confident in who I am. It's hard to show up to people when you don't know who you are. And when you get onto raw foods, you won't know who you are. You'll be like, I believed all of this and this isn't true. And so you don't know who you are. So that's what I think is the hardest thing is who do you show up as? And my answer to this is the universe is so by design, is we're meant to go through the hero's journey. Who you come out when you're so confident in this, but it's just a belief. You can't, because you don't know who you are in the social constructs yet, but you know raw food is right, like your soul, your mind, your body. And that I feel gives you a confidence to achieve what you were destined to always achieve if you can hold on to that, because you're doing what everybody you loved does not, or most people you love does not. But you have to, but this is how I see it, is I believe in that, and I feel I'm 100% at this edge now where wherever I show up, I've built my schema, my raw food schema in my brain as to it's like this map of who I am and how the world works through this new lens. And I think my lens also has these matrix facets in it. You know, we want to get rid of the matrix, but because we've got to survive in it. Like, I feel like there's this period where I'm like, I'm just going to live on a beach. I'm not really going to be around people because people don't get me, in my mind, right? I probably never said this, but in my mind. But you need to know how you as a person and who you've built as a person will work now in the matrix. Yes, we feel lovely in Phuket, you know, at the retreat when we're all around like-minded souls and we're all sharing like similar things that we're going through. But then I feel what happens over time. And does that mean that I like 5 years raw versus 1 year's raw? No. I have thoroughly loved my whole journey. It's just been different. Unraveling like who I am and discovering who I am. But I think that is, if I look back just personally for me, is I had to build. And my situation is very different from most people. I didn't have much confidence at all because I'd been like alone. Yet I didn't know how to really interact with people anymore. I couldn't with the FND very well at all. And so it takes time. Everyone's at a different level, but that I think will play majorly into how I unfold, more so now that I know I'm secure in who I am.
And then when you do that and you step into that space, naturally you start opening up a lot of things that will come in. So just trust this whole process, even though it feels like you've got a lot of resistance or there's a lot of challenges. It will start to ease as you move in the direction of what your soul feels called to. So like I said, the people will turn up, the right foods, the environment, everything starts to open up. And that's where you're creating a new world. When you feel lost, because I'm having lots of breakdowns, and I'm going through these and at quite fast pace right now. It's like it's happening often. It's like I get settled into one space and then it all breaks down. And what Carl Cease would say is like, it needs to break down. All of these, like I said, these constructs or these ways of doing things and thinking isn't in resonance anymore. And sometimes they have to completely break away and you're in this in-between world, this energy, because you're starting to build this new world of, and we were sharing it. I was telling you, Sky, earlier about I don't fit in this competition world. I don't fit in the ego, fear-based world, the power, forcing things world. I'm in the space of safe and love and kindness. And this is a whole different, I've tapped into it, but it's really now becoming so strong in the way I live my life. So I'm coming into this like new, it's like a cocoon phase at the moment, but something is emerging in a whole different world. So sometimes these little dark periods that you're going through feels like forever. They are not. I've gone through many, and some call it a spiritual awakening, a reset, whatever you want to call it. I do feel we're opening up to a whole new, especially if you're on this path and you're listening to Sky and you're definitely on a different path to many.
That's so true.
But it's exciting because it is opening more, and I'm feeling, lots of things are falling away even more. And I'm like, can you possibly drop more things? Like, I'm like, really? And it's just happening. I'm like, these false beliefs, like I said, these internal conflicts that I'm having, is definitely showing me there's always room to drop, strip, break away, and redefine. And it's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited, but it's also very scary sometimes. But it doesn't have to be. Just trust, surrender. Read the Surrender Experiment. That's a really powerful book, and look into more of this, not force, and really work on this trust of what's happening. Is you can't unsee what you've seen. So now we're creating a new. We might not know what it looks like as well. I'm going into this space of, I know some things that I want, but there's still a lot to strip away in this world. And what you're seeing, like with the cruelty and the destruction and the food industry, and how demonic it is. But there is also this light side, and this is what we're bringing forth to the world, and it's necessary. So just trust that we are here. We're doing this for a reason, and we're here to share that light, because there's a lot of darkness. We can't deny that, but there's a lot of good people, good souls that are looking for this. They're looking for more than just these external things of greed, material things. Now we're going inwards, and absolutely taking away the heavy cooked foods, the dense foods, the animal products, the animals. Taking those out of your lifestyle is going to amplify and really connect you back to the truth. And this is an exciting path.
It is. I think what sits so true for me on this path is, no matter what, I have to remember where I came from. And that's probably why I sit where I sit. I don't get so disturbed, or don't feel like I have a huge amount of darkness, is only because I made this reel yesterday, saying, because it comes up for me, raw food. It's come up for me at the start of this year. Is this too much? And I've never questioned that before. Is this too much? Being raw, is that, like, I asked myself, and then I made a reel, and I'm like, it's not too much to eat raw foods. I've had 60 surgeries. I've had 8 major organs removed. That was hard. Like, that was every day being in pain. That was hard. So I think no matter what comes through my life, I always tap back to, it's not that. Like, being in bed screaming in pain for year after year after year is unimaginable. I mean, I don't even know how I lasted a week, let alone all that time. And so no matter what comes up for me, it really doesn't even nip the edge of my past. And that perception may change over time. It already has for me at the start of the year, when I was going through all the histamine issues, the constant histamine issues, and then I got onto keto, and that stopped it all. See, there's always a solution. You just got to hang on there. But in reality, is nothing on this raw journey has even been 1% of what I used to endure or have endured. And that, I think, keeps me just cruising. No matter what comes up, I just go, well, and even if I don't, somebody close to me will humble me. Mum and dad will just go, it's pretty much a miracle. Even when I'm in bed and I'm going through something physical, they'll be like, it's pretty much a miracle what you do. Like, if you look, like, how did you get up and do what you've already done? Even if that's all you ever do, that's a miracle. Or like when I walked back into the pharmacy to get my estradiol, and I'm like, yeah, I've got this cancer thing. He starts laughing. He goes, well, and I'd be really emotional about it. He's like, well, that's nothing for you. And I'm like humbled by people around me when I forget. And I think that's what keeps me in so much gratitude, because in the reality I know now, there's actually no words for the darkness I've experienced in my life. Like, and I guess that's why I don't have to deal with it, because it's just in a different frequency. Like, but that's why I do what I do, because there's people in that frequency that hopefully see that picture of me, skin and bones, hunched over, or see something that resonates, and they get a glimmer of hope. And that's what happens.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what I think, and that just comes from people's different paths of what they're going through. And as I said, that doesn't mean I'm always going to sit here, and it doesn't mean I sit here week to week. But it did, obviously I made the reel about it. It did come up for me very strongly that, like, Sky, the things you complain about are not even on anything. Like, I don't really have a right. If I think back to who she was, I can't remember a lot of who she was, but being my older self, I feel I don't have a right. Like, if I even accomplished a quarter of what I have, I would have thought it was a miracle.
Yeah.
So,
well, you do have a right, because you have your feelings. You're a human being experiencing human emotions, let them come up, but it does put things in perspective. You can, if that helps, if that's coming from a space of a healthy place, not suppressing, because some people be like, oh, suppressing, I should be grateful. No, that's not going to serve your heart. I think if you're coming at, if you weigh up the cost, is the cost going to affect you? But you are very, like what you've gone through, it's like reminding you that this is a space of when your victim comes in, when sometimes it just needs to be heard. Inner child work is, very important as well, making sure that is acknowledged and seen, but it doesn't need to be a reality, and it doesn't need that extra layer of suffering when you know what you've already been through. That's the difference. Allow it to come up.
That's a fact. That's definitely true. But I think it's also like the path of least resistance, right? So whenever, that's what happens when I got onto the raw food. It's not hard for me to see light now. Like, I feel like I was in so much darkness. There were little glimmers of light, but then I was ripped back to the dark. Whereas now those paths of least resistance, where I feel my best, are so much clearer and easy to see. And although I don't have like huge I'm assuming it's going to come back over time of exactly what it felt like, is I was that person for 40 years. Like, well, okay, up until about the age of 8, I was okay. And in my early teens, I had years where I was okay. But then being that someone for so long, it's quite easy for me to empathize. It's like that split personality thing that I have, because there's so many different events that happened. But when I think back, I like, if that girl right there could experience one day in my life, she would have thought that she'd gone to heaven, basically, right? So I think there's that empathy that I hold very true, because she is me. I refer to her as someone different.
You've gone, incredible.
So, and I think it's just different
comparison,
but I also like, this is my interpretation. I remember coming to raw and being like, this is so easy, because I used to be so sick. I was like, if you told me when I had like a few issues that this is what I had to do, I feel there'd be a real battle. But is that just not a battle that I may have already faced at some point? So just say somebody gets dumped with their darkness instantly, like they had this trauma where something so beyond what the human mind can comprehend happens very suddenly to someone, versus it happening over a span of years. That's kind of how I perceive it, why there's times where something comes back in. It's only because maybe God dishes out the same amount to everybody. It's just some people get hit all at once, and some people it gets spread, and then they're doing good, and then
sprinkled,
sprinkles of darkness.
I'll sprinkle of darkness and some light there.
So, and I don't know, but I just think back to who I was, and if I knew I would feel better on raw foods, I probably wouldn't have done it. I had to go through, maybe not that extent, to be fair, but I do know that I am very aware. But that, as you said, it doesn't change the fact that, things can come up and upset me, and I go through them, and I feel them, and I'm more accepting of feeling them now, because I've got an identity. I feel it's been really only this year that I've probably got what I would call an identity back. And that's not just because of trauma. I do feel it is a raw food thing. It's very hard to find who you are. Does that mean it's hard to find who you are, but it's so worthwhile. It's like the most worthwhile thing I've ever done for myself, going raw.
Yeah, absolutely. Clears the path on everything, literally. Clears all your tubes, all in the insides and outside. It's great. But shall we come to a close? So just to about the retreat in April. Helen's
And there's
coming.
a discount on, guys. There's a discount on for only a few more days.
Yes, so get the discount. It's all on Rollish as You retreats. It's in the description as well. Check that out. It is April 24th. You remember last week we said 25th? I was like, it's not 18th to the 24th.
We're trying to hold people longer.
Yeah, it's all on the website anyways, all that information. So yay, it's going to be fun. Lots to offer, lots to share, reset, work out with us in much more of a nervous system regulation. Enjoy what Thailand has to offer.
Excited. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
It's going to be great. So, well, thank you so much. Thank you for being here, Helen. Yeah, 18th to the 24th.
There we go. Go check it out. Get your discount, 20% off. It will be amazing. I'll be there. Tony will be there. Lots of raw food, gourmet fruits, looking for food, doing yoga, sound baths.
Sea, sand, a lot.
Yay. Well, we will see you guys next week. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Helen.